Alright, we are back with another Twilight review. This one is definitely better than that last one. What's up everyone, my Epictastic people, boys and girls everywhere. Welcome back to Epictastic Joshua. My name is Joshua, if you guys don't know. We are back talking about Twilight with the third movie in the Twilight series, the Twilight Saga Eclipse. This one I was actually really looking forward to going back to. Looking forward to this one because I remember when I first watched this one back in 2010 on Redbox, on DVD. I remember this was the one I enjoyed the most because this is the one that had the most action in it, and it just looked like it was a much more fun movie to tolerate. Despite all the freaking problems that the Twilight movie still has. And I was interested for this review series, seeing how this will hold up, because I remember when this was coming out, a lot of girls, they were obsessed with 14-year-olds, teenagers. The one thing they were talking about online, especially with this movie, this was before I even wanted to take interest in going more behind the scenes stuff. Team Edward and Team Jacob. That was the only thing people was talking about. Was just crazy. Alright! So after Twilight, even before New Moon was shot and released, in 2009, Summit Entertainment, they agreed to announce this movie for a 2010 release. And with that being said, on the same day, Chris Weitz announced that he will not be coming back to the series with the next movie. So instead, the new director chosen would be David Slade. And so, David Slade, he came in, interviewed the cast members 2 or 3 times to discuss the story and characters. But also, we did have a little bit of a casting change here. Since the beginning of the films, Rachel Lefevre would not be playing the character of Victoria due to scheduling conflicts, but she mainly says she was stunned and saddened by the decision. However, the new actress chosen would be Bryce Dallas Howard. So this movie came out, still got pretty much mixed to negative reception. Some people praise some things, some people hate some things, but this held the biggest midnight opening record in the US until Deathly Hallows Part 2. It was the biggest Wednesday opening with $68.5 million and beating out Revenge of the Fallen, and it was the widest independent release at the time, beating New Moon, beating Iron Man 2 until it was surpassed by Despicable Me. And this movie had a $68 million budget. So this was directed by him, written by Melissa Rosenberg, based on the books of the same name, of course. It has Kristen Stewart, Robert Pattinson, Taylor Lautner, Ashley Green, Billy Burke, Dakota Fanning, Bryce Dallas Howard, Jodelle Ferland, Xavier Samuel, Kellen Lutz, Nikki Reed, Peter Fasinelli, Elizabeth Reeser, and so many others that I could just go through the list. Time around, we focus on Victoria as she wants to get her revenge on the Cullens and Bella for the death of James and Laurence. So in this movie, we definitely focus on that, and she decides to get an army of people to come in and just let loose and want to kill these guys. But also at the same time, we also have to deal with this very cringy, very ridiculous and immature love triangle between Bella and Edward, knowing that whichever decision that she makes will ignite the long-simmering feud between vampires and werewolves. Rewatching this back in the last week of January and into the first full week of February, I was excited to rewatch this one. And having rewatched this one, all disclaimers for all these reviews, I have to keep saying it. I know these movies are terrible. Even New Moon, I hate New Moon, and I don't like Breaking Dawn Part 1, which that'll be next. But these franchise has that guilty pleasure thing where I know these movies are absolute shit, but for some reason I enjoyed them. So let's talk about the Twilight Saga Eclipse, shall we?
We're waiting.
Positives, I will say that David Slade, he brings his direction all into this. All into this. I definitely really like his direction. He's directed some TV shows before. Some TV shows I haven't seen, like Power and such, but I've seen 30 Days of Night, and his directing is fucking brilliant in that movie. The vampires actually being fucking hardcore vampires, the ideas in that, and the horror vibes here, he brings some of that horror vibes into it, especially when it comes to the scenes with Victoria and the vampires. The scenes at the beginning with Xavier getting bitten by a vampire, and then the vampires getting recruited, and then the Volturi, and even to some of the more quieter moments, the intimate moments, he tries to do that. And also he also tries to bring and handle the love story the best way he can, which not really his fault. It's just the dialogue, the way this movie is written is like you can't really do much in terms of what you can do with it. The action is well shot. You can see what's going on. It's decently edited. It's not just quick cuts and quick editing like you see in the studio interfere the film. I do miss a bit of the bloody and grittiness to it when it comes to the action sequences. That I do wish it was rated R, but I will say for the hard PG-13 they go with, they get down and dirty with the violence. You see limbs getting cut off with the vampires. You see werewolves just eating vampires. Such it, again, it's not bloody as I wish they were, because it was just kind of a me thing. But I will say the way the action is shot is competently handled. I definitely enjoyed the action, and this is the one where they told you they have a bigger budget, $68 million. It looks good. Cinematography looks good. I do think the visual effects side of things looks actually way better here. If you tell the effects are getting a little bit better. There's still some moments where the effects isn't always great, but I will say for this, you can tell that the effects is fine. I think the effects is good here for what they have to give. There's also some moments when it comes to the Cullens where they try to give them some interesting backstories, which I actually found to be pretty interesting and pretty entertaining. So I will definitely say that part of things I actually really quite liked. And I thought they actually handled it in a way that I feel like you could make a whole other movie about the Cullens' history. Because I did think that was interesting, seeing how Carlisle's turned his family into vampires. I enjoyed that. I think that was actually really cool and actually very interesting. I really much liked. And I also will say, for the most part in this, cinematography by Javier Aguirre that he brought back from Twilight Saga New Moon still has some good sweeping shots, some good shots of the snow and such, and even some of the fight scenes. All of that I think is well done here. Soundtrack is great here. These movies always have a killer soundtrack. That's the one thing I have to give credit to this franchise all the way through, is your soundtracks is really damn awesome. You got some good songs in this one. You got Love Is, you got Muse, you got the song I'm All Yours, which I definitely like that, by Metric. You got The Bravery, you got Florence and the Machine, Heavy in Your Arms, which that was the song I would think of when it comes to the soundtrack. Sia, you have From Farlow, The Black Keys, The Dead Weather, Vampire Weekend. It's a very well put together soundtrack. Also, CeeLo Green is also in doing the song for this, so that was really awesome. That I actually really did enjoy, and they really did a pretty competent job in making it the way they do it, and I definitely love the way they handled it. So it's actually really good in terms of what they play with, and Howard Shore's score is really good. I also really love Howard Shore's music here. Come on, it's Howard Shore. He's one of my favorite composers. I love the music when it comes to Howard Shore. Howard Shore is a fucking great ass composer. He's done shit like the Hobbit trilogy. I know some people don't like them, but I enjoyed them despite their issues. stuff with Dana Cronenberg, stuff with Martin Scorsese, and he's well known for doing the incredible music on The Lord of the Rings, one of the greatest movie musical scores of all time.
Correct!
His score here is great here. It's very good. It also can be pretty intense, and it can be pretty disturbing in terms of what he can do in terms of a musical score. So that is all really good. I definitely like the way that his score plays out. He also brings some horror vibes into the score, considering he's worked with Cronenberg. So Howard Shore, excellent. Also say this is the second most fast-paced movie in the series. The first one and the last one are definitely the other more fast-paced, but this one, it just feels like, despite some moments of slow things, which I'm gonna get to, I definitely can enjoy the fact that this is a much more slower paced movie on the side that I can really get into, and I can really enjoy, and I can really just take for what it is. That's what I would like to do. Take the music for what it is. So that is actually really competent in terms of the second. Is it feels like they say, no, we're gonna cut some of the bullshit. We're still gonna have the love triangle and romance stuff, but we're gonna get you a lot more fast paced with some interesting things y'all want to see with the action and stuff. So I will say some of this cast is also really good here. If I say so myself, I'm actually saying that as a pro. Now, I'm more than aware that with all of these movies, these actors have expressed their disinterest, or how much they hated doing this, or how much they were being stalked during these movies. I will say the acting in this movie is really strong here. From some of the call-ins, also Ashley Greene, Anna Kendrick, Elizabeth Reeser as Miss Cullen. Also really enjoy some of the other actors. Jodelle Ferland's cool for what she's given to do. I also don't mind Dakota Fanning as Jane, even though I do have a little problem with the fact that she just enjoys seeing people get their own misery. And this is just another guilty thing. If you take this as a guilty pleasure, this is a very entertaining enough guilty pleasure that, while it has a lot of stupid shit and all of the dumb shit that these Twilight movies have, there's a part of me that you can just enjoy it for what it is. And I've read these books. So going into the mixed aspect, I'm mixed on Bryce Dallas Howard as Victoria, because on one end, I think Bryce Dallas Howard does a pretty damn good job for what she's able to give. She should have had a lot more scenes in this, considering the fact that she's getting her sweet revenge as Victoria. I don't mind her. I think she does good for what she's given. She has to work with some not very good dialogue, but she's a good enough actress, and a pretty damn underrated actress too, to make it work. She's also very stunning in the movie, which is Bryce Dallas Howard. She's a redhead. You know, the redheads or the brunettes or the blondes or any goth chick or anyone is gonna look absolutely stunning in a movie, whether the movie is shit or not.
Try to keep up. It's probably just a case of the Mondays. Am I right?
But that's just beside the point. But Bryce Dallas Howard, one of my favorite redhead actresses. She does not get enough appreciation, as you should. While I like her as Victoria, and she does have a physical presence, and she puts up a hell of a fight with Robert Pattinson at the end of the movie, there's a part of me that wishes this was Rachel Lefevre. Like, I know there's scheduling conflicts and stuff. Maybe with her, we'll never know the full truth. Whether it was a pregnancy or something, we'll probably never know the full truth. But I felt like they should have just kept her. And mixed on the three leads here. So, I will say Kristen Stewart, Taylor Lautner, and Robert Pattinson, they are all decent to good actors, even great actors, since they have moved away from this. But the problem is the way this movie is written, and especially with this love triangle, some of their lines can come off a little cringy and a little bit iffy and a little bit embarrassing. There is one moment where Jacob kisses Bella without permission, and she punches him in the face, and the way she hurts her hand, she's like, that had me laughing this time around. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be laughing. And then the very next scene, he's like, if you ever come near her again, she's unsure what she wants. What do you want to say? Yes, I'm like, those moments, that actually got a moment out of me watching it, because it was just so damn funny. The problem I have when it comes to this, I will say it's the writing of this, and I don't think it's the actor's fault. I just feel like the way it's written is a bit of a problem. Which that leads me into the negatives. This love triangle is so ridiculous, so unintentionally funny, and so fucking laughable. It's to the point where it's like, oh my god, you just had to go full laughable route here. Now in the book, I know in the books, I've read the books, Jacob is much more intimate, and he's not so much of a fucking asshole as he was in these movies. But the way these movies are written, he's pretty much the Anakin Skywalker of this Twilight franchise. What do I mean by that? He's a whiny little bitch, all because Bella made the decision with one person, and he didn't want to be with her, be with him. I'm like, there's plenty of other girls out there. You have a female werewolf right there in the case of Julia Jones, who's pretty beautiful, by the way. This is one of the first things I ever saw her in, and she's really good here. I'm like, damn, Jacob, you could talk to other girls. If Bella ain't working, just go to somebody else. But the love triangle is so weird and so laughable, and it's hard for me to care when I'm laughing at half of the dialogue, like a Star Wars prequel, like Attack of the Clones. There's moments of characterization they do try to give for some characters, but I feel like that could have been something in its own movie itself, so that I could actually kind of wish that was his own little movie, like a prequel or something. So that could have been a little better there. Most of the acting in this movie is very hit and miss. You have Xavier Samuel in here, which he's not horrible, but it's just the moment where he just acts like a vampire and he's like, you're dead. It's like very bland and very emotionless, and also very over the top here. Also, I will say, in terms of over the top, there's also one character named Dimitri or something. It's like, no, his performance is bland. A few moments here where I think is just a little bit too much when it comes to some of the acting here being a little over the top and such. And it's not these actors' fault. But when it comes to Jacob specifically, while I think he's a little more tolerable than he was in New Moon, especially the next fucking movie. Don't talk to me about Breaking Dawn Part 1, because I got some choice words to say for him. He's still acting like a complete, obsessive, whiny little bitch. And over the fact that he's not Bella's little boy toy. And it gets to a point where his acting sometimes is a little overbearing. Now, I know Taylor Lautner can be a decent actor. I've seen Abduction. I've seen Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. And like I said, I hope he gets what Robert Pattinson gets. A redemption arc for something. Give him a movie with a competent director. Taylor Lautner could be an actually damn great actor. He could probably get an Academy Award now one day. But here is just the way he's being told to act is just so immature compared to the books, where he's a lot more understanding as such. Even gets to the point where you never give a woman ultimatums. I'm sorry, if you are a fucking man or a woman, you never give a man or a woman an ultimatum. Don't do that. Going to kill yourself and then freaking just have a girl kiss you. You don't do that. That's what gets shit fucked up in the first freaking place. So the dialogue in this movie, not very good. I've said it countless times. I'm gonna say it again because you needed a secondary writer to make some of this don't feel so unintentionally dumb. And also for the 2 hours and 3 minutes, there's a few moments with this whole thing where it can be a little slow at times. It can be a little bit slow at times as such. So that is something you could have done a little bit better with. The fact that you do not give a woman a freaking ultimatum. I don't like that shit. The fact that Jacob's just acting like a fucking asshole. But giving a woman ultimatums, not a great plan. But at the end of the day, if you can just put all the stupid shit, the cringy dialogue, the stupid love triangle, and a lot of the stupid bullshit aside, you can actually get some enjoyment out of this movie. But this movie, I'm not saying this movie is great. I will never say this is a movie, or none of these movies I would die on the hills for. But this is a movie I can just sit here and I can just enjoy. So for what it is, I can enjoy some of it, even though this movie is not very good. So it is what it is. It's stupid, but it's entertaining. But it's not perfect though. But it's nowhere near as freaking irritating as New Moon or Breaking Dawn Part 1. So yeah, God help me, because I have to review Breaking Dawn. But that review is next. Well, that's gonna do it for the video that you just watched. If you want to see more, my channel icon is up here. If you want to see more content from me, all my social medias are right here in this end card. I will also leave a playlist and a video here for you to see what the channel is about. As always, acknowledge me, stay epictastic, join the Epictasticness, and you guys keep it cool.